We got to do it, man. Let's just go to spoilers. I feel
Okay.
like we've non-spoiled away.
All right, let's do it. What you got?
You know, I've tiptoed around some things the entire time, but going back to that battle between those two at the end, and not to skip all the way there, but the way that they built both sides up so beautifully, and the conflict that I was feeling, because, and you can actually see that they're both almost fighting for the same thing, because there's our moment where our girl is falling and Ashwathama is going down to save her, and then Prabhas, a big movie star, jumps in and saves her anyway. So it's like they're fighting for the same thing, but he wants to be in the complex so bad. That's been the driving force of his character throughout the entire movie. I was torn. I was ripped apart during the third act of that movie. Who were you rooting for? I mean, was it the same thing?
I was definitely rooting for Ashwathama. But here's the thing that I was thinking about. And this goes back to the idea of like, well, does the slow burn of the first act actually pay off even more so? Because I was thinking, does this character move forward with this if he doesn't ever go to the complex in the first place?
Ooh.
And the fact that he got a taste of it, and then still, I feel like that's something an American movie would never do. Like, I feel like America would always flip him. But the fact that they sent him to the complex, and the fact that he still is trying to take her back, I'm just like, that's some balls, and I dig it. And that makes the story even better. Like, because it's not like he isn't unlikable. It's just way more complex. I don't think we got a neat bow on this. And I love that idea that they will still both take a second to save Samadhi from dying. But one of them is taking her back to the complex.
I mean, one of them's got the bad intentions. He's got the bad intentions, but you just like him. You can't, and you know that there's a piece of him that eventually is going to make the right decision, but we don't see it in this movie. And so, well, I guess we do at one point, but he's still taking her back. And so, I mean, the way that they build, I mean, it's genuinely one of the best written characters in all of the films from India that I have seen. This character is one of the best written characters I've seen, because it's such a complex set of emotions while you're watching him. And obviously Ashwathama and you know, the lore and everything driving that side of the story, that's what you should be rooting for, because we want to save her and we want this miracle to happen. But at the same time, I just want that boy to get to the complex. I just want my guy to get to the complex. It's so hard not to root for that. Yeah, I do.
Why is that? Also, actually, I want to make a point real quick, because I can't go a podcast without intentionally pissing some people off. You want to know what other modern blockbuster, the only one I can think of, has the balls to make that decision?
Oh, no.
The Last Jedi.
I knew you were going to say The Last Jedi. I knew it.
Only The Last Jedi has the balls to do what this movie did.
Oh, man. Oh, that's going to bring the hammer down. You're right. And not that I'm overly defending that movie, but in the context of what you're saying, you are right. The guts to do something like that.
Any other context other than the context that surrounds The Last Jedi, that movie is wildly ballsy and kind of great.
Oh, man.
In any other context, that movie is something else. Anyway, where were we going? Oh, I wanted to find out. So I'm just curious, just because the complex are the elites. It's the people that have been draining all of the resources
Yep.
from everyone down in Kashi. It, do you want to see Bhairava go up there because you believe that he's going to make a difference, whether he's there, or because you just like, what is it about that scenario that you fletched onto?
Well, considering he got a taste of it, he didn't actually see what was going on up there. I think he knows what's going on, but his mindset now is, I want to be up there because I want to live this lavish lifestyle. For me, the type of person, character, human being that he is, I envision him getting there, realizing that it is the place to be, but maybe it's not the kind of people that need to be here. And I envision some sort of a revolution happening. I envision some sort of a fix the problem type scenario, with him still getting to, get to the promised land and make a difference, and get to stay there, and all of these beautiful things. And so I envision that maybe happening down the line, but I just want him, and I don't want him to take her there. That's not what I was wanting, but I want him to get there, maybe start, and there are plenty of revolutions going on in this movie, but maybe start one closer to the source, and hopefully eventually get to see a little showdown of sorts with the people in charge. And that's kind of why I was hoping throughout the entire first two, going into the third act of the movie, that he would get to go and stay for a while, not get kicked out, and kind of see what was going on. And so I really, really want him to make it there.
Yeah, that's why I had to ask you, because it's like, how can you be a fan of that if ultimately he has to take Sumati back to be there? But I mean, narratively speaking, I mean, you and I have both seen enough movies. We obviously know they're going back, and good has to overcome, because that's the whole point of the Kali Yuga, and the reason why. I mean, we still have yet to meet our Messiah.
I know.
Technically.
Yeah, you're right.
So let's talk about some of the final moments, because I'm not going to lie, I'm a little confused. Also, I'm just going to go on and admittedly speak to the fact that, like, all kinds of stuff can fly over my head, guys. Like, there's a lot of, I can easily get lost in a bunch of names. And even at the first 5 minutes, I was like, oh no, here we go. I'm already lost. But I'm not entirely sure I understood all of the aspects as far as, like, the serum and stuff, like the little like jewel thing, the crystal things. I don't think I followed that really, or what was going on there. It might have been because I got up to go to the bathroom at certain points. So I would love for you to expand on that as well. But I think both you and I need some clarification as to the character Prabhas portrayed at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a little, I used the word jarring when talking about it before. That was a little jarring for me, because I didn't see any of it coming, because there really was nothing building to that moment where he transforms into his brother. I was just very, did you, because I got up to go to the bathroom too. Was there a moment where they hinted at that happening, or did it just happen?
I don't understand it at all. And I don't know if it's because it's a problem with the movie or because I'm an idiot. I genuinely have no idea.
Yeah.
I think I was mainly disappointed because that imagery of him being on a battlefield on a chariot, his hair blowing in the wind, that's like Bahubali. So everything I said about him playing a completely different character, the second character he plays is like a Bahubali warrior messiah type dude.
Sure.
So it's like, okay, whatever, but that's fine. Not that big of a deal. I legitimately don't understand it, and so I don't know if it's purposeful. The second movie, I guess we can clarify now that we're getting another movie. Maybe that's just something that is intentionally a cliffhanger and we're not supposed to understand it. But I also welcome any listener or viewer. Feel free to comment down below and explain this to us if there is an explanation.
Well, I'm not saying it wasn't a bad, like, I was very confused, but it wasn't I am not enjoying this, because it was cool when he
Yeah.
grabs the staff and
Oh yeah.
does all those things and then doesn't remember it after that. He's like, how did I get here? Why is she there? And so the reasoning behind it is what I have the issue with, is why did he snap into that all of a sudden, and what brought that? I guess it's the context of the moment, like that moment required him to do that, but why did that happen? And I guess it was him all of this time, and then that thing of he's never lost a battle. Maybe he's lived longer than he thinks that he's lived. Obviously, he's lived longer than he thinks that he lives. So, there's something that's going to tie that in, Ryan. Eventually, maybe.
But
I just don't think it's happened yet.
But he's not the Messiah.
No, he's not the Messiah.
So it's like, I just don't know what that. I don't know what the setup is then. It's like, I thought the story was the kid. But it's like, this is like another added element. I mean, we'll obviously understand it in the next movie, but I also wish I wish I left the theater kind of having an idea of what was going on too at the same time.
Yes. It just felt like a cool moment for the sake of a cool moment, as opposed to something we have been building to narratively. And that's what is so disappointing. Again, it was cool. It was really cool when he grabbed that thing and fought those people, but narratively, I needed a lot more context, and hopefully we get it in the next film.
Well, if that got you riled up, you're going to love Bahubali. Like, it is.
Really?
It's epic, dude. It's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it has. I felt similarly at the end of the first movie. Like, I knew that there was a second one, but the first one feels so whole as well.
Oh.
Like, wow. It's a very similar relationship. Like, you feel like you've watched this entire epic and this legend of Bahubali, and then you find out that you've just wrapped up the first part. I mean, it's very similar in that way. And at the same time, the second one is like a completely different, but exactly the same type of experience. Like, the second movie is a whole movie. It's not like you're watching Infinity War and Endgame, where it's
interesting. Like,
you've seen two full, complete movies still with those moments, cliffhanger or whatever you want to call it, and and even with like a Deathly Hallows, like the DNA of Deathly Hallows Part 1, it's moody. It's a road trip. It's not like Bahubali Part 1 has to be a different thing because it's a Part 1. They are both equally massive epics. It's pretty special, actually. So, I'll just hype that up for you. But very similar relationship.
So I'll ask you regarding this film. When we figured out, so neither of us knew going into this movie that this was a Part 1. I think it was hinted at in one of the videos, the prelude or the world, but I thought it was hinted at as more of, oh, this is something that more could come from this because there's such expansive lore here. No, it's a Part 1. It's a legit Part 1 because the story is not finished. Did you feel fully satisfied with the story that we got, or did the cliffhanger bother you, rile you up to the point to where, I wish it wouldn't have been that, big of a cutoff like it was? How'd you feel?
No, that's sort of the point I was making with, like, well, it's weird to compare it to. Remove my Avengers comparison. So if we're just talking about Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2, it's not like that at all. At the end of Deathly Hallows Part 1, even going into that, just because it's also based on books, like, you walk into that knowing there's a Part 2, and so you kind of forgive it, but it's like
Hunger Games type thing.
Yeah, no, it is not that experience because of how we've already spoken about how sort of Indian cinema works in these ways, but the fact that the first act said everything and gave us the lay of the land, moved the pieces properly so well, we had time to learn everybody's motivations and invest in everyone. It's not like we invested in one person. We already spoke to that. We invested in everybody's mission, and that's why we had all these stirred emotions in the final battle. You we saw a complete movie here
Mm-hmm.
that also
Mm-hmm.
teased the next installment. And
yeah,
both are rarely true, but this time it is true, and it's perfectly okay.
I guess I would say I would compare this more to a Beyond the or an, Across the Spider-Verse as opposed to some of the other movies that you mentioned, because that was very similar, right? It's a complete experience with a very clear tease and a very clear cliffhanger for something more to come. Maybe a little dead reckoning in there as well. I mean, that was such a complete experience. They no longer even call it part one. And so I guess that was they dropped that from the title. So I guess that was kind of a complete experience as well. But I feel the same way about this film. I felt very satisfied. Obviously, I'm looking forward to part two. And there is a massive cliffhanger at the end of this movie to where you are just left like, okay, so we're going to pick right up in the next film. But it is a complete experience because there are a lot of things that they're building up to that you get maybe not a resolution for, but you get a culmination of emotions for, where you feel some sense of a payoff, and you get that epic moment at the end with those two colliding. And I guess one of our few evil villains there that met his, died at the end there. And so that's satisfying as well, because he was a pretty evil dude. And then that one little tease at the end with our big Harkonnen, Snoke type character, which just set us up for something so freaking cool. I felt very satisfied by the end of this movie. And I walked out not angry that there's a part two, but more excited to see when that's coming and to hear announcements for it.
Admittedly, I think that maybe not all, but I think a lot of it has to do with the fact where we were when we walked into the theater to begin with, and everything that we spoke about at the beginning of this podcast. The fact that we're going in, have no idea what to expect, we're just excited to be a part of this thing or whatever. The teaser just gave that to us again. Like, that tethers you and I to our first ever Indian franchise in real time. Like, that was an invite. Ryan and Austin, stay with us, be a part of this. And I don't know how we could be dissatisfied with that. Like, there's so many more layers to it that have us, like I said, tethered to Tollywood, this franchise, whatever you want to say.
And I guess there is something cool about not knowing that you're in for a part one. Because every movie we go into, and that's what's so unique about this film in general, is we just learned about it a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
We didn't know anything about this. We knew that it was coming based off of comments we've gotten in the past, but we didn't know anything about the movie. And so learning these things on the fly. yeah, exactly. Learning these things on the fly, and even right now trying to figure out some things that happened within the film that we have no clue or context of, and there is probably an answer for us somewhere, is cool. And it's unique because with Hollywood films, everything is spoiled. Right now, look at Superman. We have seen all week behind the scenes pictures of the suits, the characters, the costumes, the outfits, and the outline of the movie. And so we're going to know a lot about that movie going into it. It is almost the exact opposite of this experience. Knowing nothing, not even a quick synopsis of this film a week ago, and getting to experience that in real time and not knowing anything about it is really, really cool.
I agree with you, but the Superman comparison, I'll push back on a little bit, because I think the set photos and everything are actually good for it. Like,
sure. Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
Not that I want to be spoiled of that movie, of course not. But like, keep all that stuff coming.
Sure.
But that's actually, I'm glad you brought this up, because I wanted to kind of compare this to what we've got going on here, because I just don't think an American studio could pull this off. Like, we don't have any kind of cultural ties, as I spoke to earlier, the way that India does. These civilizations are ancient and have all these histories and religious aspects to them. I mean, your American comparison, that was just rooted in Christianity, which isn't rooted in America. I mean, we pull from it, but it's like,
Yeah.
we just can't get there. So we don't have those ties, but also like the balls to just be like, we know we're making these huge epics. We know that you're going to show up. Who's our Prabhas? And I don't mean like who's our biggest movie star, but like you guys in the comment section, you'll literally just write Prabhas heart, 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 or you'll say Prabhas is here to save Indian cinema. You know, Prabhas is taking us to the promised land. Like the way that audiences speak about this man, we don't have that, dude.
No.
We have a few of our, you know, big prominent movie stars or whatever, but nobody says those things about Ryan Reynolds to us in our comment section. Like, yeah, there's like Deadpool and Wolverine are going to save the MCU. I guess there's a little bit of that, but it's like, but there isn't this idea that Hugh Jackman is here to save cinema and we're going to see and love every single thing that he does. Like that sentiment doesn't exist.
Well, even look at the movie stars that we have, like Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Nobody's saying that about him. People are saying he always plays the same role. He's in the same movie. He's in these types of big, crazy movies, but no one feels that way. Tom Cruise is probably the closest thing we have, but Tom Cruise is in more grounded and gritty and Mission Impossible, and he would never be in a big, you know, religious sci-fi epic on this scale, on this level, because it just feels like something, because he gets to do whatever he wants to do. This is an entirely unique type of movie star that we don't even remotely have.
And he's not Tom Cruise, and he's not going to save cinema or take us to the promised land because he's past his prime.
No.
So it's like,
for sure.
So it's like, okay, is Chris Hemsworth going to save American cinema? No. Otherwise, Furiosa wouldn't have broken even last week. It's like,
yeah.
I mean, the American industry is just so apathetic, and I think that's why we feel the way we feel. How about the fact that there's no way I can pronounce the production company. It starts with a V. It's a huge long word. The YouTube channel that put out the Prelude V Network. All right. The amount of videos, granted, a lot of the videos are made just because they're separating languages, but the amount of promotional videos that came out on that YouTube channel this past week is insane.
Yep.
And when you compare it to the last movie I praised for doing something similar, Dead Reckoning, it still pales in comparison. And obviously, Dead Reckoning didn't have the show out that this movie's probably going to have. So it's like the amount of videos that you and I have or will make on this movie, it's like we've done. When was the last time we did any of this? What we're doing?
Never.
I mean, just to be honest and blunt.
The reactions, reviews, spoiler reviews, Easter. I mean, we're going to do all kinds of things.
What was the last movie that we did this for? Was it Endgame?
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, this is.
Did we even do it for No Way Home? It's like,
no.
We don't treat Avatar like this.
No, not at all. Avatar has trouble staying in the pop culture zeitgeist after 2 months of its release. I mean, it's two of the biggest movies of all time, but the talk surrounding them goes
movies
away.
That I like.
Yeah. It goes away. This movie, this will be talked about specifically in India. This will be talked about for the rest of the year. RRR was talked about for an entire year.
I still talk
nonstop.
I still talk about RRR to this day.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
I don't think this movie is as good as RRR, but
no.
And I don't think it's as good as Bahubali. So if I could do my Indian rankings for you real quick, I would actually put it second I would actually put it second to last from what I've seen.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to put RRR at the top, and then we'll go. I don't know which one But I'll just say both Bahubalis are 2 and 3. 4, let's go Manjamel Boys. 5, 2898, and then Pathan, which is like, that's the largest gap of quality. 2898, it's still a movie I appreciate a lot and enjoyed and had a blast with, excited about. Steep drop, Pathan. That just speaks to the few Indian movies I've seen.
Yeah, just this year, Manjamel Boys, I really enjoyed. I'm with you on it getting off to a little bit of a slow start, but I think this story, it's easier to resonate with that type of story than it is to this type of story. But they're actually, I would have a hard time trying to figure out which one I enjoyed more, to be honest with you, because this is just so different compared to not only that and other movies from India that I've seen, but compared to my expectations.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't even know what to expect, to be honest with you. But to now have this entire new world to just dive deep into and explore and learn more about, and these 3 distinct places in this world. And I feel like I could do a freaking research paper on this on this movie, and I'd be able to write 15 pages. There's so much going on here. Yeah. And so I'm excited to see how this specifically holds up on rewatch, because we're going to watch it again. There's going to be a part 2. We'll have to watch it again. I'm excited to see what more I'm able to see and latch onto the next time I watch this movie, because there's so much.
And make no mistake, again, just because it's my 5 spot doesn't mean I didn't love it. I loved it and I had a great time. And
yeah,
I have a movie to look forward to in the next coming years. I can't think of anything else that I'm looking forward to, really. So,
yeah, there's some smaller Oscar movies that are on my radar. There's some things that could make some noise at the box office, but what's, I guess, the next Spider-Verse, right? But what's a movie that you are dying to know where the story goes? Just dying. And I think this and Spider-Verse are the only 2 that are the MCU, man. Look, I'm excited for Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm interested to see what the next Avengers movie is. I'm not dying to see it. I'm not on the edge of my seat like, all right, let's see what's going to happen in Captain Marvel 3. It's fine. Whatever. This, I'm excited for this, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
And like, I'm not even as excited to see Mission Impossible 8. I mean, I think that speaks more. That speaks more to just kind of where Dead Reckoning left off, honestly. But it's like also one of my favorite and one of the best franchises that we have.
Sure.
And this, almost said Bahubali, KALKI 2898 brought out more hype for me. So, yeah.